and lots of communities understand that. And then you've got all of the nurses, and then you've got the police officers, and then you've got, there's so many different demographics that have been affected by Andrew. I honestly think it's a real misjudgment, and when you say you think, yeah, I think he's in the clear, I think, what do the right always say, the silent majority?
Yeah.
There is a silent majority that are outraged by this, and there are a lot of people that don't ring your show,
Yeah.
that aren't as animated as me, that are going, this isn't right.
Well, I'm really interested in what you're saying, actually, because we know, you see, there was a lot of spin about the local election results recently, you know, a couple of weeks ago. People saying the Tories didn't do as badly as people thought. They did very badly, in my view. They lost 500 councillors. That was at the higher end of the scale. And I think Partygate and the character of the Prime Minister was a factor.
Yeah, and here would be my point, and I've called the station before, and people...
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the second exit onto the M4 slip road to Heathrow Airport, M25.
That listen to some of the spins that come out to explain it. Anybody that's got a sense of rationale looks at Andrew and they say, yeah, but hang on a minute. You're not going to get us this time. This isn't like a little Brexit, oh, we've owned the libs, or we've got the Brexit. It's not that. This is people's lives. This was, you changed our lives for the worst, and maybe they were right with these rules, but you didn't follow them yourselves. And I don't think they understand the anger out there. I don't think they're getting it. And the likes of Nadine Dorries and people, when they give interviews, when they shake their head and that, well, it's because I want to, and things like that, we look at that and we think, what? How can you do that, but we've got to pay the fine on the spot? We don't get an investigation. We've got to do it. We don't get a questionnaire. We've got to do it. But you don't. I really think they're underestimating how the feeling.
Really interesting call, Ashley. Thank you for that. That's Ashley in Dulwich. Do you agree with Ashley?
Exit the roundabout onto the slip road.
There is a great silent majority that's out.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
It's historic. No Prime Minister has been fined before for breaking his or her own law. Now, he wasn't interviewed under police caution as we thought he might be. He was we presume he was interviewed by the police. We don't know. Tony Blair was interviewed by the police twice over cash for honours, but he was never fined, and his supporters are now saying this shows he's in the clear. You heard from the Economist and Daily Telegraph columnist earlier, Andrew Lillicoe, saying Boris's Partygate critics have been, quotes, given a humiliating thrashing. Or is Ashley right? The Tories have got this completely wrong. This is going to bite them very badly at every single election between now.
Continue on M4 for 3 miles.
What do you think? Number to call 0345 6060 973. The time is now 6:31. We get the headlines with Amelia Cox.
The World Health Organization is holding an emergency meeting to discuss the growing number of cases of monkeypox. The number of people diagnosed with the virus in the UK has more than doubled to 20 in just 2 days. A 34-year-old man has been found guilty of attempted murder after attacking a stranger on a tube with a machete. Ricky Morgan carried out an unprovoked attack on James Porritt near Green Park last July. And people who will be named in Sue Graves' report into the Partygate scandal are expected to be contacted over the weekend. Boris Johnson insists the senior civil servant will not be blocked from identifying certain individuals. LBC weather, dry with clear spells for most tonight. A few showers, most likely in western Scotland, lows of 8 degrees.
LBC. I'm David Lammy here on LBC. Wages in this country have flatlined. Bills are skyrocketing. Inflation is through the roof. This isn't just a sign of a government that's out of touch. Our current government truly believe that it's your fault if you can't pay your bills. Join me, David Lammy, tomorrow from 4. Listen on your radio and on Global Player. LBC.
One day the owner's like, word of mouth isn't cutting it. Why can't people find us online? Then his wife gets an idea. Why don't you use GoDaddy? They've got SEO tools which helps customers find us in searches. And he's like, really? So he gives it a go and he's like,
T's and C's apply.
Energy price rises mean that 4 in 10 can't afford it.
If you're struggling with energy bills,
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
here for guidance and support. Search British Gas Energy Trust. Subject to eligibility. British Gas, here to solve.
Andrew Pierce on LBC. Call 0345 6060973.
We're going to carry on taking your calls.
Keep right to stay on M4.
A lot of you, well, it's fourth board as I expected, but you keep hearing in the headlines about monkeypox. The government has confirmed another 11 cases have been confirmed in the UK. That's 11. It comes on top of the 9 already identified in the country. Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, says most cases are mild. He's updated G7 health ministers on the spread of the virus, which has been detected in 9 other countries outside Central and West Africa. You just think, oh no, not another virus, here we go. Let's talk to Lawrence Young, virologist from the University of Warwick, who joins me now. Good evening to you. Shouldn't we be worried?
I think we should always be concerned about any virus outbreak. We need to keep monitoring it, but this is a very different situation from coronavirus. It doesn't spread in any way like coronavirus, so I think we just need to keep an eye on it, but let's not panic.
What is the trigger for it? Why is it here now?
Well, it's a disease caused by a virus that, as the name suggests, usually spreads among monkeys in Central and West Africa. Occasionally jumps into people and causes small outbreaks. We've seen small outbreaks in other countries and indeed in the UK before. So this originates from Africa. We know that one case was somebody travelling back from Nigeria who brought the infection back with that individual into the country. But this is a very low-level outbreak.
And how do you know if someone's got it? There's a rash.
Yeah, well, the first thing to say is it doesn't spread easily between people, but it can be spread through somebody who's got it and has got the rash, coughing and sneezing.
Right.
You have to be in very close proximity. Touching the blisters or scabs on somebody with the infection, but also this infection can be spread by touching clothing, bedding, or towels used by somebody who has the monkeypox rash.
And it's a pretty unpleasant name for it, isn't it? Is there a link also with sexual activity?
Yeah, there does seem to be. I think it's about skin-skin contact, and we know that this initial outbreak has spread amongst a few people in the gay community, but it isn't sexually transmitted at all.
Right.
It's just close contact. So you just need to keep an eye on it, and it spreads in the same way as sort of chickenpox. Although
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
Now, I read that Spain is preparing to order thousands of doses of smallpox vaccine to use against monkeypox. Do we have enough vaccines here?
Well, I know that the government are currently looking into that and sort of stockpiling vaccines. It's quite interesting, actually, Andrew, because you may remember that
Keep right to stay on M4.
previously for smallpox vaccination stopped in 1971. But actually, it's one of these vaccines. Once you're
Continue on M4 for 4 miles.
So actually, those of us who've had the smallpox vaccine before will have some protection against this. And I have to say, there's also a very effective antiviral drug that can be taken. At the moment, the key thing is contact tracing. So when you see an outbreak, it's important that you report it, that people there's contact tracing, and it's those people who've been in close contact that will get vaccinated.
And just finally, I think the symptoms include fever, headache, muscle aches, backache, swollen lymph nodes, chills, even exhaustion, and the rash can develop often beginning on the face.
Yeah, it does. So that's exactly right. So you get fever, headache, and the like. It's interesting because it can take sometimes between 5 to 21 days for these symptoms to appear. Rash starts on the face, spreads to other parts of the body, including the genitals. It's very nasty. But we call it self-limiting. That most people have a very mild form of this, and they will get over it without having any other intervention.
All right, well, that's quite reassuring. That's Lawrence Young, who's virologist from the University of Warwick. Thanks so much for joining us, talking about monkeypox. A horrible name for a virus. We're going to carry on talking about the fact Sue Gray's report will be out next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, we think. It will name people who have been fined in number 10 and in the Whitehall government machine, 83 individuals. We know 2 of them the Prime Minister, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. We also know the former head of ethics. She got fined too. Is Boris Johnson out in the clear? I was very struck by the call earlier, just before the headlines, saying that people are underestimating the sheer cold fury outside there. People are really, really enraged that the Prime Minister and people in number 10 were partying. He only got 1 fine. Some individuals got 5 fines. Is there still that great fury out there, or is it time to move on and you're fed up with it and you think the whole thing was blown out of all proportion anyway? Let's go to Steve, who's calling from Petsworth. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Andrew. I couldn't disagree more with the chap who was on just prior to the news. I'm part of the other majority.
Yeah.
Who thinks let's move on. Before I spoke to you, I just went online and had a look at the pictures of Partygate. I challenge your listeners to do the same.
In 2 miles, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
He was sitting outside with Carrie, socially distant from everyone else. And I also challenge all of your listeners, were they all whiter than white, did they never break one of the ever-changing rules? I'm sure I tried my best, but I did.
But he was the Prime Minister. He's the Prime Minister. It's different, isn't it, Steve, for him?
It is, but he's leading a team through very challenging circumstances, and I would have hated to have been doing his job or their jobs at the time. It was a thankless task. A lot of his parties were conducted on Zoom meetings looking at the photographs. The man the police have shown, they find him, he has nothing else to answer. Let's move on. Allow Boris, allow the government to look after the country, to look after Ukraine, to help us in the world.
All right, that's Stephen Petworth. Just had a text here from Carl Turner, the Labour MP, said, listening to you, Andrew, heading from Sunny Hull to to speak to the local Labour Party. Blair wasn't interviewed as a suspect, he was interviewed as a witness. No criminal allegations against Blair over cash for honours. Johnson, first PM to ever receive a criminal sanction in office. That's Carl Turner MP, thanks for that. He hasn't got a criminal record by having a fixed penalty notice, but he broke his own law, and it was the law, just not rules and regulations, they were the laws of the land, and it was the government that decided to criminalise them and to bring in those fixed penalties. And we know some people got fined hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds. What's your view? Is he out? Is he in the clear? Vicky's calling from Highbury. Vicky, I think you're a new caller.
I'm a new caller, yes, I haven't phoned before.
Well, you're very welcome, Vicky. What do you think?
Can I just say first, I've got a bit of chemo brain because I've just finished breast cancer treatment, so if I sound a bit odd, that's why.
In a 1/4 mile, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
Even angrier because I was going through cancer treatment at the same time that the pandemic was going on.
Right.
I think everyone thinks he's in the clear because everyone's acting normally.
Yeah.
But I think that's why he isn't in the clear. His reaction...
Exit at junction 6.
It's just the same as it was before, but now people are so angry because he's been asked questions about this thing he's done that's really bad while people died.
In a 1/4 mile, at the roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto Tuns Lane, A355.
I think he probably will say more. He will say more next week, Vicky, when we get the Sue Gray report. We think it's going to be about... Well, I'm sure it will, because she will examine the culture that was prevalent, which enabled people to think they could have all these parties. Will she conclude in that report? We don't know, that as Prime Minister and head of the government, that he's responsible for the culture, because that would be very difficult for him.
Of course he is. If you're the Prime Minister of the country and you're living in Downing Street, the culture that's happening around you is your responsibility.
Indeed.
You can't just put your hands fold your arms and just look annoyed when people ask you questions. You have to speak.
And do you want him out, Vicky? Are you fed up with him?
I do want him out. I think he's an appalling individual.
Exit the roundabout onto Tuns Lane.
And if you're going to be the Prime Minister, you have to work hard. You have to prepare for meetings. You have to know what you're doing.
In a 1/4 mile, slight left towards Sippenham Lane.
You have to put everything into it. And he doesn't. And I don't think it's okay.
All right, Vicky. Well, thank you for that. And Vicky, best of luck coming out of your chemotherapy, and best of luck fighting breast cancer. I hope you're well on the road to recovery. That's Vicky, another new caller from Highbury. Andrew's calling from Blairgowrie in Scotland. Andrew, I think you're a new caller too.
Yeah, I'm a new caller and I'm a bit nervous at talking.
Don't be nervous, Andrew. It's just having a chat to your mate in the pub. How are you doing?
Yeah. I'm very well, thank you.
Slight left towards Sippenham Lane.
Indeed, Andrew. So what do you make about this up in Scotland? I don't think Nicola Sturgeon was accused of breaking any lockdown rules, was she? Maybe she was. If she was, I can't remember.
I think she has one.